Welcome to Tabletop Topics. I'm your host, Jeff.
And of course, Jeff. Guys, if you want to catch and watch our ugly mugs on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and now YouTube Music. We also have our YouTube channel, one word, Tabletop Topics, our Triple T's Clips channel, and our TikTok. So if you click on the links, it'll take you directly to the episodes. And of course, we have timestamps so you can navigate throughout. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and of course, leave us a comment. Again, guys, thank you again for joining us at the tabletop. Let's jump right into it. He has finally arrived.
He has returned.
It has taken him a long time to appear, but he has returned. The second coming.
The second coming. And our first time.
First guest ever.
First guest ever.
He has appeared.
He has finally risen. He ain't go nowhere. He ain't go nowhere.
No, not Jesus, guys.
Nah, he pulled up. He pulled up. My boy Coop pulled up,
Yeah.
man. The man who talks just as much as me, which is amazing. I have a companion in that. So, welcome, Coop.
Welcome.
Welcome back, Caleb.
Howdy. Glad to be here.
How we doing, man? Did we survive that hurricane, man?
Yeah, I didn't even get any rain hardly, man. A little bit of wind here and there. I took the dogs out during the storm, the midst of the storm.
Were you hoping?
Nah, low.
He's like, I don't want to go back
Let's
to work.
be honest, though. Low key, did you kind of want that day off?
Personal
He's
opinion.
hesitating.
If you're gonna get a hurricane, I think you should get a hurricane.
Like, get the whole thing.
Yeah.
Like,
yeah, that would be nice.
full wreckage.
Yeah.
No, but like right before the storm, they were like having meetings at work. They called everyone in. They said, "Hey, we got a hurricane coming, so we're putting people up in hotels on the other coast. Would you be interested in driving over there on Monday just to be there in case the storm is bad, so we have people to work remotely?" And I was like,
cow. They're right. They're like, we got to get our
But that's
important people
free
out.
hotel, bro. You
No,
got
it's
a
not
bag.
that. Everybody else is dying.
That's crazy.
No? Oh, yeah, no, that is true.
A
I turned it
hurricane
down.
hits and you're like,
You
you
need
leave
to
your
work.
family and you go stay in a
You're like,
hotel
we're trying to
go
protect
work.
our asset because they make us money, so we got to
You're
get
like
them out of
talking to
here.
you're like in the Zoom call the next day and you're like, I can't reach my parents, but like
That's crazy. Yeah, but I got
the
these.
power's out. Yeah, and he's like, can you give the PowerPoint presentation? Or
Yeah,
not?
our condolences, but we need to make money.
Yeah, move it. Oh, what
Yeah.
the fuck?
That's crazy. I
Damn.
did think the hurricane was overhyped this time.
Yeah, it was.
Fake
Yeah, it
news.
was. Well, again, too, every time they say it's going to hit Tampa, it
Tampa.
always ends up hitting us.
Yeah, it
So
just.
when I
don't
heard
know.
Tampa, I'm like, it's going to hit us again.
Yeah, it
but
just
then it
felt
actually
like
didn't hit
some-
us, so that was
some
good.
last second type of bullshit. But
Yeah, it was nice. It was refreshing.
Yeah,
to
yeah, for
actually
sure.
go north.
For sure.
No, I heard you did have a flight, right? Did that end up?
Yeah, I thought it was gonna get like grounded
Mm-hmm.
because we also connected through Charlotte.
Mhm.
But no, it was fine.
Wait, was it one of those weird type of flights where like you have to backtrack to go where you want to go? Because like my older sister, when she went to Jamaica earlier in the year, she ended up flying to Charlotte and then flying to Jamaica.
Oh yeah, I
Yeah.
think. Correct me if I'm wrong. I'm not really good at geography. Charlotte is just straight north of us.
Word.
a little bit.
A
Maybe.
little bit to the. It's more in line with Miami.
I
than-
basically went like up and over. But
Okay.
we're in Florida, so it's
Word,
like you
right.
don't really go back down. You're like up and straight over.
Okay, so it's just one way, like. no
Yeah, I was going
continuation.
to Memphis.
Okay.
Oh, solid. What you got going on out there, man?
I went to an Old Miss football game. And I wish that wasn't on record because I did not.
You what?
Yeah,
Oh,
my
man.
my cousin goes to Old Miss. I went to University of Florida.
Oh, okay.
So.
Is that kind of like a family alma mater type thing?
Yeah, my sister also went to Old Miss, so my family likes that.
So is everyone like
Oh.
ostracizing you because you went to
Yeah, no,
okay.
I didn't want people to know because I was like blending in. I was like a double agent. I had a Old Miss shirt on. I was like,
Hell no.
it was crazy.
No, I feel that.
That's what's up.
I feel that. That's fire. That's fire. So, my question is, have you guys caught up with any of the shit that's been going on in the world, in the news, in the nation? Anything that piques your interest specifically?
What you guys want to bring up?
I've been taking a news hiatus because it makes me sad.
Word.
Yeah,
Your buddy Trump's going to jail now.
Yeah, I did see that, man. Isn't he? He's already got his mugshot out.
Yeah,
right?
he got his mug. Dude,
He was like-
did you
Oh yeah, he was trying to mean mug everybody.
Yeah, actually.
did you check it out? Did you see like
I saw the
the
mug.
build up before the drop of the freaking mugshot?
Yeah, didn't he like hype his mugshot? Wasn't he like, I'm gonna go get arrested at 7, and then he like gave himself
Word.
up? He like it was a movie. He like leaked. He was like dropping, this whatever day at 7. I don't know the exact day, but I think he tweeted when he
like
was
a
gonna,
fucking merch drop.
Didn't he?
Like-
He signed a couple of them, keep them in his trunk.
Yeah, I don't
In case
know.
he sees
Yeah,
the
the
fans.
picture of the mugshot. He did pose for it though. He did like the rock face, like one eyebrow raised.
He's gonna try to
Yeah.
sell it for $3,000 each.
I mean, the man.
I wouldn't be surprised.
He knew it was gonna be like.
Oh yeah, for sure.
And it was. I saw this really funny take on TikTok because I'm young.
Can you do one of them dances?
Yeah, no, I can't. I'm not on dance TikTok, unfortunately. But I saw this really interesting take where this guy was like, it's iconic because it's like that dress that went around when we were younger, and it was like, do you think it's white gold?
The
or
white
blue
gold,
black?
blue
Yeah,
black. Word.
because the people that hate Trump saw the mugshot, and they're like, Trump's a criminal. This is really funny.
Uh-huh.
And then the people that love Trump saw the mugshot, and they were like, Trump's really sticking it to the man. This is
Right,
funny.
he's
So
doing
everybody loves the mugshot.
Yeah. The
mugshot.
Like the mugshot is
amazing.
It's universal.
it's gonna be on
universal.
so many T-shirts.
Oh,
and
yeah,
it have
for sure.
it's
It's gonna say
amazing.
Trump 2024.
Or
Yeah.
it's gonna be
Or
like
it's gonna be,
Trump for
and,
prison
or it's
or
gonna
some
say
shit.
Trump 2024, ironically,
Yeah,
because
yeah,
you
for
don't
sure.
like him.
for prison.
Exactly.
Yeah, for prison. One's gonna say for,
So
one's
either
gonna
or, you're
say
making
for
money off of his
president.
face. Yeah.
But you know who's
For sure.
making money? Giljan T-shirts.
Yeah,
Goddamn it!
T-shirts. And I
T-shirts
guess
going
the
out the
jail.
wazoo. Yeah, that's true.
They were trying to move up his trial though, because he's out there talking too much. They said we don't want him influencing the jury or something like that.
Oh, he's gonna influence him.
I mean, how can you have an unbiased jury?
Exactly.
When
Right.
you're prosecuting the
The
president.
president.
Exactly.
Who the fuck is gonna not
But
know
it's-
this guy?
It's crazy to think, all jokes aside, that there is a non-zero chance that we could elect someone from jail. I think he's at least gonna win
everything
the
Yeah,
he's
Republican.
that'd be
doing
nuts.
now
That's
is
history.
precedent.
Everything that's gonna be done by him is history. That's gonna
Right,
be
like
different.
everything he's doing now is precedent.
The boomers don't give us enough credit to we're in like big times of change.
Peak.
Yeah, they're like they kicked Nixon out of office. We would have elected him after he got
Oh,
arrested.
dude, absolutely, absolutely.
That's it's crazy. Did you see I didn't catch the GOP debate, but I saw the part where they were like, who would still support Trump if he was in jail, and everyone raised their hand.
Well, Big Daddy D had to look around, make sure everyone had their hands
I did
up.
see that.
Yeah.
He's like, oh yeah, me too.
Yeah,
Okay,
it's just
guy.
crazy times.
I don't know, man. I just feel like, but that's what you've come to expect from that side of the aisle, where it's just like everything's obtuse and just like absurd.
It feel to me, and a lot of my family is. I don't know if you could tell because they went to Old Miss. A lot of my family is more conservative leaning. I'll put it the nice way, but I will say it just feels like the GOP, the Republican Party, kind of bet on Trump way back
Right.
when he first got elected. They
Right.
threw all their chips in his boat, and they didn't realize that he's so polarizing that he attracts the wrong crowd.
Right.
Yeah, that's
I
true.
feel that.
I
And
mean,
now they kind of gotta
Double down.
go down.
Yeah,
with the shit.
yeah,
Word.
because literally he's leading the
Yeah.
primary. Like, what do they do when
and
he
he's not even there.
he's in jail and he's
He's not
leading
even
by
there.
20
If he's
points?
leading-
I'm winning, regardless
Oh,
if you're
that's
there.
amazing.
I mean, there's a serious argument to be made. Again, I'm
Oh.
not a political forecaster, but if he wins the nomination, it could be a big blow to the
This
future
just
of the
destroys
GOP.
my entire understanding
Or it
of how
could be
reality is supposed to work.
Or it could be nothing because in 2020, right, people were like, if Trump gets elected, it's going to be the end of the world. And then we elected him, and bad things happened, but it was fine.
Yeah, for the first.
Yeah, that's
first
true.
4
Like
years,
I pretty much just autopiloted.
Yep.
Yeah,
for
we-
years.
And then
Maybe-
we got money out of it.
yeah, free money,
We-
fake stock markets, and free money.
We may just be desensitized to it. We'll just be
Yeah.
like, oh, yeah, he got elected from jail. I guess he'll pardon himself,
Mhm.
so it's not a big deal.
Yep, that's true.
But then what happens next? Like it's not a big deal. Everything. This
Yeah,
guy
you
does.
think we're like slowly.
You see what I'm
where do we
saying?
draw the
like,
line?
how do we? Like, we have to care at some point.
Mhm.
I think a lot of younger people do care. I think it's a combination of. I have a lot of hot takes
Mhm.
on politics, but I do think because so much of the voting power is concentrated in our aging population. The boomers are such a bigger generation, just
Right.
population-wise, than the younger generations.
And financially more influential.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So I think that like a lot of the time, even if the younger generations don't necessarily support these antics, like we are forced to go along with them
Mhm.
because
I feel
the
that.
Well,
older
I'm saying
generation.
that the Tims, since like I was in college, man, I was like, I mean, no disrespect to anybody who's older. I love my parents, right?
I love you.
But also, I don't know. I'm waiting. You gotta wait a little bit longer for them to kind of phase out
I feel
before
that.
things can
I
actually
feel
start to change because we really have
Bro.
no control over what's going on right now,
Yeah. I
and
feel like-
nobody really cares what you have to
Yeah.
say.
Well,
That's
like they
true.
said again, Mitch McConnell froze again.
Oh
Yeah, I
yes,
saw
this
that.
man's been freezing, bro.
And like
He's not real.
regardless
That's the clone.
of how you feel about the politics,
That's the
like
clone.
he's too old.
he's
Yeah,
so
he's
old.
too old.
Why do we have these?
Like he's having
freaking-
an Alzheimer's moment in the middle of his
And
speeches.
I saw somebody in the comments like defending him, and they're like, you know, and I don't know the medical stuff behind it, but
Mhm.
they were like, you know, this isn't uncommon. Like people can have brain freezes when they get older. It doesn't necessarily have to be something more
I've
serious.
never seen that before.
And they said it's like not important unless you're in like a what did they said like a high intensity workplace, and I was like, he's literally
Right.
like a senator.
Running-
Like
He's
what
just
could
running
be
the
this is
country.
super important.
This is
Yeah.
peak stress
Um,
levels type shit.
I've
All right,
got a
if he
question.
doesn't have Alzheimer's, then Trump is 250.
Mm.
But go ahead.
I was gonna say, how do you guys feel about implementing like a maximum voting age?
Voting age
Yeah.
or ooh, because I was going to mention something similar about like the whole term limits, but voting age, like in terms of entry level to vote or maximum level, like a cap off. one?
I'm saying like
Oh, like kind of like generational.
yeah, and I think it's a tough question, right? Because you want older people to still feel valued and like their opinion matters, but I am of the opinion that like term limits aren't our only problem.
Mhm.
I think
Right.
the underlying condition is like we are having older politicians because the people voting for them are their age.
Of course, yeah, for
Like
sure.
to us they're so old, but to the boomers voting for these politicians, those are their
They're around
peers.
Yeah.
their peers, right?
But the biggest issue is we're living in a Gen Z and millennial generation where the boomers are sitting there controlling the outcome. What they did in their time is not what's happening now.
And yeah, exactly. And I say this all the time because my dad is a lot older. My dad is like 70, 75. So I have this experience of like talking to my dad, and you know, he kind of quintessentially represents that generation, but
Right.
it's so far removed from the current day. Like my dad didn't grow up with the internet. He barely knows how to use an iPhone.
For sure, yeah.
So how can people like Mitch McConnell be making policy for our nation when they don't understand some of the basic fabrics of today's society?
Word.
I
Like-
think, yeah.
It was kind of. But go ahead. Go ahead.
Sorry
yeah,
for
yeah.
interrupting.
No, go. I mean,
Yeah, it was kind of like it harkens back to when like I knew we were just like we were kind of low key fucked. I think this was a few years back. This was 2020. You remember when the feds were like hunting down TikTok to get them banned with the whole data sharing, and of course they had a hearing.
Mhm.
Oh,
I remember that.
yo!
I remember that.
And
Oh,
the
shit.
American
I
branch
wish we could.
like the American branch president of TikTok literally had to break down how Wi-Fi works
Yeah.
to this guy, and it was just blowing my mind. Like the guy was just asking a series of questions. Does TikTok have access to my internet? Well, yes, TikTok needs internet access to work.
To work, yeah.
Well, how does it get access to my internet? Through your router. Oh,
And it was
man.
like even if they didn't know like what a router was, it's just
Mhm.
like in this day and age, like at least know what an app is and how it
Exactly,
works, and,
exactly.
like what the dangers are of it.
Man, that's crazy. That's crazy.
I mean, maybe I'm biased because I am on the younger side.
No,
I'm
no,
25.
no, it's-
No, I think there should be
it's
a limit.
legit.
I think there should be a limit because, like we said, right now we're in the biggest Gen Z millennial generation right now, and the boomers are disconnected to us, so they don't understand how society works today. They're using what they've learned back in the day, and they're trying to apply it to today's society, and it doesn't work like that. So I believe that there should be a limit on not just their term in Congress, but also a age voting limit because they do make up the majority of most of the votes.
Yeah, it's crazy to me that you have to be 18 to vote because they feel that like underneath that, your brain, like, you aren't put
Not
together enough.
developed,
You're not
yeah.
developed enough.
Right.
But does the same thing not happen when you get older?
Yeah.
Like, don't you start
You
losing
just-
your mental?
Yeah, you're just
facilities?
reverting back into
Yeah.
a child.
Like,
It's kinda-
and it's just part of life.
A
but,
giant
like,
baby, basically.
But
Yeah,
but we have
again.
these
Yeah,
70-year-olds,
basically, yeah.
or 80-year-olds voting because there's no maximum voting age, and maybe
None
they're
of the
not all there.
policies even like they couldn't even fathom what the policy.
not
Yeah.
just the cultural gap,
Right.
but like maybe they don't even have the critical reasoning skills. Like
Oh,
maybe
yeah,
those
for
are
sure.
starting to
To understand modern day.
kid math in elementary isn't kid math that we learned in elementary.
Yeah.
I
Like,
feel that.
so it's on a new level.
I
So it's
feel
like
that.
every generation is different. But it's like the policies that they're voting for are for the benefit them most of all than us. Like they're still trying to convince you guys to get 401k when it was for the boomers, not for us.
Yeah.
So it's like little things like that. It should. I mean, like I said, I agree with you. There should be a limit to that.
Well, Canada does that with driver's licenses, right? Like once you hit 60, you gotta fucking.
All right,
For
I
us,
mean,
it's-
you don't have to have a hard limit, but I guess, yeah, maybe when you hit a certain age, you have to take a test.
Yes.
But then you kind of get into, like, that territory of, like, we used to have voting tests, and they got used for... Yeah, it's a very...
anything ism.
Yeah.
You,
Just
well,
add
you
ism at
gotta
it.
be careful
Yeah,
because
for sure.
people will weaponize
Yep,
it.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I
absolutely.
agree.
Absolutely.
Like, you gotta be very careful.
But I just think it should be retiring age. You know what I'm saying? Because when you retire, you retire from society.
Yeah, but they keep bringing up the retirement age because we live longer.
Well, not just that. The boomers aren't retiring. They're just
They're not.
staying
No,
in their
they're not.
jobs.
Yeah,
like
they're
my
not.
dad, my dad's still working, and it's like some of these. I mean, at some point, do we have to force people to retire? Like,
feel that.
it's a complicated, societal, economic. It's a big issue.
Mhm.
It's a comprehensive issue,
It's only issues that exist within capitalism.
and
I
it's.
believe.
I think either way. I mean, I guess I don't have a lot of experience with communism. All my experience.
no. Like, I'm not saying like it's a bad thing. No. Capitalism can be used to benefit, like, to work in our favor. You know what I'm saying? Like human-centric capitalism that actually values work put in rather than, a predictive measurement of where you're going to be.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying?
Well, I think it's also a problem that's evolving because our life expectancy is getting longer.
Yeah.
Like when they founded the country, you only lived till you were like 45.
45, yeah.
So like you
Yeah.
were pretty solid at
Oh,
45.
yeah, for sure,
You were
for
just
sure.
like, but now that you have like 70 something,
Mhm.
it's an issue that our generation will have to deal with.
Oh yeah, for sure. And it's like the retirement age was 61, then they moved it to 65, now it's 67. So it's like they're just gonna keep pushing it up. So it's like, so I'm never gonna be able to touch my 401k or anything like that if I do have it.
I don't mean to be the doom and gloomer, but I have heard that by the time we grow up, because the boomers.
Oh, there's
are
not
such a
gonna be
big-
anything
There's
for-
just gonna be no social
No,
security.
Yeah,
they said by
we're
2032.
paying
Yeah.
for their social security.
Yes, yeah, that's
it.
true. What you gotta say?
I said, what? Yeah, come
Yeah,
on, let
yeah,
us
you
know.
need to-
No, I'm just mean because, like,
Go
so
jump
if you're
in.
talking about retiring in the sense of where you're not going to get any benefits from it until you're 65, you could retire at 55, and as long as you're, like, legally retired, you can start pulling out of retirement accounts without being penalized for it. You're not
Mhm.
getting Social Security, but say you got a 401k.
Okay, yeah.
Or if you're 59 and a half, you won't have those kind of penalties for it. So there are ways to access it
Mhm.
in that sense where you
Loopholes.
don't have to be an old man.
Mhm.
But also, some people are 65 and they're fine. Like,
Word.
they're making reasonable choices and they're
Yeah, for sure.
doing okay. So it depends on that too,
Yeah.
and that's why it's like a case by case basis where you
I feel
can't
that. You can't
draw a hard line in the sand and say, hey, anybody that's over 70 years old can't function properly. It's like
Yeah,
that's,
that's true.
not necessarily the case.
I agree, but I do think that, and these are why, we have conversations.
Word.
I think these always good for politics, but I think that, you're never gonna have the perfect policy, so you do have to make decisions.
So as long
like,
as
do
it
you want
benefits me.
yeah, as long as
Basically,
it's
yeah.
good
Word.
for us.
Word.
But I do think even if you're, like your retirement that you pull out of when you retire, like a 401k, that's something you do yourself, like you pay into. Whereas Social Security, I mean, we're paying into Social Security
Like,
that
that's
we
something
may never
taxable,
get back.
right? Yeah.
For
Yeah.
sure.
Right.
Which just, I mean, it may not be a huge deal, and as long as you're aware of it and you're smart about it, it's just sucks. Like, it's another reason the boomers have it easy.
No,
Yeah,
I
for
feel.
sure.
But like as a generation, though, I'd say millennials and Z. Like, how do you forecast or plan for the end of your life, like in terms of financial, retirement and like actually having safety nets for you when you don't understand what's after Social Security? You see what I'm
There's
saying?
math for that.
There's who?
There's math for that. I mean, like, so a lot of people that I know, I guess, my good old finance pals are like, I don't think Social Security is going to be around. I'm funding my own retirement. They open up a Roth IRA or a brokerage account, and you could say, I want to retire at 65 years old. Inflation is 7%, and I want to have X amount of dollars when I retire. And you can predict how much you have to save in order for that money to be there when you do retire. So it's like things that you're not necessarily aware of per se,
I feel
but it's there. And like for me,
Loopholes.
well, it's understanding the system, right?
Yeah.
It's there for everybody.
Yeah, for sure.
It's
You
there
just
for
have
everyone.
to
Do the research in order to look for it, because there's always loopholes in areas that you can, like you said, access.
or just hidden knowledge, because
Yeah.
a lot of things that
They're not going to tell you outright.
Right,
Yeah,
that's what
like
I'm
when
saying.
we're filing taxes for the business.
The lady couldn't tell us shit. She's just like,
she's like, I
"You
can't tell you,
I can't tell you,
but it's right there
but
somewhere
it's
on the
right here on the. I'm like,
It's-
what the fuck?
Yeah, because she knows she's being recorded, so she's like, I can't tell you, but it's on your paper. You just have to look for
I
it.
called IRS and they can't even help me file my taxes. Like, but you want to collect? You
They're
want
like,
to collect?
they're
my
like, are you
taxes?
an LLC or are you a partnership? And we're like, well, we don't know. I thought we were an LLC. He's like, well, is there a second somebody? Or like, yeah, then
You need to
you're-
file a 1062 partnership.
Yeah.
I'm just like, oh, okay. And what does that entail? Well, I can't tell you. But go ahead.
They may, so that's like, I feel like if you have a company, you can incorporate as an LLC. It doesn't necessarily have to be a partnership, right? And then you just file as a corporation, as like a LLC.
You are. Caleb has a finance degree, by the way, so that's
Oh,
why
yeah,
he's
he's
extremely
absolutely.
knowledgeable on this.
Thank
I
you.
was about to say you lost me at least in
I didn't earn
the
it.
LLC like corporation talk. Is there like
Would you like to break it
Oh
down?
yeah, let's
Yeah,
have
maybe,
a
like-
breakdown
Yeah.
of this. So
simplify?
LLC stands for Limited Liability Company or Corporation. Same thing, I guess, for both of them. A partnership is a company of two people who own it, and then there's the sole proprietorship, which is one person who owns it.
owns it.
You can have a company or a corporation, and you can have a limited liability corporation. It's just going to matter for the liability that you're taking on. It kind of separates it, and then it's the taxation for it. I think a sole proprietorship is a pass-through entity where like the sole proprietorship gets taxed, but it passes all of its taxes on to the owner. Whereas like a limited liability company gets taxed, they take those taxes, but you get taxed off of the income that you get from that corporation. So it depends on your tax status and how you're filing for it. It's just breaking it up.
So in their case, I guess to kind of bring it back to what they were talking about, I don't know if this is exactly what they were talking about, but in your opinion, do you think the U.S. tax system, I know this is a big subject, should be simpler so that people can do their own taxes, or do you think it's better that we leave it to like an accountant or something like that? Because I know when I did my taxes, similar to them, I had no idea what I was doing.
Right.
And I tried to do the free one the government gives you,
Yeah.
and they were like, "You're a special case," and then I had to pay TurboTax.
Pay
A lot of
Right.
countries, you know, you can just do your own taxes. I mean,
No, I
do you?
feel that.
What's your opinion as a finance person?
Like a flat tax type shit, or like
Yeah.
Or just simplifying how to do your
Simplifying.
own taxes.
I feel that.
Without being able to tell you per se.
Well, that depends on what you have, because like I know, like if you go on, for me, I was on H&R Block, and as long as you're not making any investment income, you can do it for free. But then once you start like selling your stock and you're making money, then you have to pay for their like whatever they call their advanced services and
right.
the H&R Block Pro or TurboTax
Yeah.
Plus or whatever the heck it is. I don't think the tax system could be reformed, but I don't know if it's going to make much of a difference on it too. And then it comes down to what do you really want? What do you want to get out of your taxes? Because like for me, I like having nice roads. I don't mind paying for taxes. A lot of people really are against taxes, but that's just because they want to have more money in their pocket. And then that's a different argument altogether, where you have to sit down with yourself and whoever else you believe in and say, hey, do we like having nice things, or do we want to have more money in our pocket? It's up to you.
More money
I
in
like
the
paying
pocket.
for teachers because I think that the education is a system, and I know I believe teachers are funded off of property taxes. So for me, it wouldn't be a problem paying for property taxes because I want my teachers to get paid, because I want the kids to get taught well.
Yeah.
But then some people don't like paying taxes, and so we have kind of bummy teachers, and our public school system isn't necessarily as great as I think it could be.
Teachers are like the universe. Like, this is something I've never understood. I have never met a single person who thinks teachers are paid enough, and yet we never pay. Like, who out there like is opposed to this? Because everyone I talk to says like teachers are criminally underpaid. We need to like put more money.
Well, it's not that they're opposed to teachers; they're opposed to taxes.
Yeah.
So therefore,
but they don't understand that if they pay the taxes, then the teachers get better books.
And also, though, you have to look at the government and what they're funding. Like, they take the taxes, and we spend a whole lot of money on war.
Right.
$88 billion.
Yeah, I think it brings up the question of like, even if you're willing to pay more taxes, because I'm in your boat, I would rather pay more taxes and get more like amenities, have nicer roads.
But I don't want to pay more taxes for us to go swing our little thing around.
Dude, your taxes are sitting in a minefield in Ukraine.
It's how
right
much
now.
you
What
trust the government to
Right.
do well with your taxes as well.
Vic said Florida education system is no point. Oh, it's shit. No point in paying for that.
And then he's like, I want more money.
I want more money. Fuck taxes.
Yeah.
But it doesn't have to be shit is the thing. It could be better.
Yeah.
And like, from me going to Fort Myers High School, a lot of my teachers were kind of poor, or like terrible, you know?
Yeah,
and
for sure.
maybe I'd have had better teachers if
you had more money flowing into the school
they
system.
were getting paid more money.
Yeah, for
and so
sure.
you can argue that it's shit and you don't want to pay for that. But then also by saying that, you're saying, I'm okay with it being shit.
Because that's for me as an assistant manager in retail, I'm getting paid more than a teacher.
Yeah.
So, and I don't
Dude,
even have
as
a bachelor's degree.
freaking delivery driver, I'm making more than a teacher.
I think I make almost twice as much as my girlfriend. She's a teacher in middle school, and I work at a bank.
But that's what
serve old people.
But
Damn. And that's what I'm saying. She's teaching kids.
Yeah, well, she spends hours.
She's teaching the future, basically.
Right.
But she spends hours after work, lesson planning, and trying to do what's right for these young little folks out here in Lehigh and everything.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like a hard thing to watch because she doesn't make very much money.
Yeah, and the work goes home with her too. You know what I'm saying?
And she's got and that's like her job is more than just teaching, right? It's dealing with kids. I mean, it's almost like two jobs in one. Like you're like a babysitter and a teacher.
Yeah, if kids didn't go to public school, their parents would have to.
Even when you're with high school.
So Jimmy says, let them know that we pay taxes for food. We eat, we get taxes, we pay taxes on our checks, we pay taxes at the end of the year, and billionaires don't pay anything. So why are we proud to pay taxes? Vic said, I'm okay with schools being ass.
And of course Jimmy's like,
Jimmy said they're
just keep the money.
They're teaching the Matrix.
I mean, you can make a strong argument that you just let the schools be ass and then you keep your money for yourself and teach your kids.
Do you think private schooling could compete with that?
Or Catholic schooling?
If private schooling becomes a lot more competitive in terms of paying teachers, in terms of the education you're getting out of it, you see what I'm saying? I feel like, one, that'll leave more resources for the kids who can't afford the private school. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, we're still going to pay taxes, but those who want to go to that private schooling or teach at private schools, it'll encourage school districts, education systems to kind of compete in that market as well, you know, to really push for better education and better teacher pay and benefits and stuff like that.
Yeah, I think two things. One, to go back to the guy who was talking about the billionaires not paying any taxes.
Jimmy?
I think that like everyone thinks billionaires should pay more in taxes.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I feel like that'd be the easiest way to fund
loophole 1031 tax.
A majority of what society is lacking right now, especially through the billion dollar corporations and stuff like that.
But it just feels like an untouchable subject when everyone involved in politics is wealthy. And the wealthy won't vote against themselves.
Right.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I think part of the problem with America is that you can't be a senator or a president unless you're rich. Like, you never really have an everyday man run for president. You know, like, I'm not going to be president.
You're not going to see another Jimmy
money.
Carter.
Yeah.
A fucking, what is he, potato farmer, corn farmer?
Yeah. Something like
Man, came out of nowhere, boy.
But the second part about private schools, I think that my only concern would be that if we if we go pure capitalism, the uniforms.
Can't stand it.
Yeah, because we were free to wear whatever we wanted when we were in school.
But except I had to wear jeans
or
pants.
Yeah, I think I'd get worried that because our wealth because our what's the word for it? Our wealth disparity, like how our wealth is distributed,
Right.
our shrinking middle class, it's more polarized. I would worry that you'd get into a situation where public schools are just shitholes, which by the way, we're already like
Yeah, we're halfway.
healthily on the way there.
Yeah, we're halfway.
And then private
there.
schools are super, super nice because the ultra wealthy are
But then
funding
you
them.
gotta pay. But then you gotta pay a ton to get in.
And then there's just a huge class. Now there's a class difference and an education difference,
Right.
which is always going to be a problem.
And that's
you're
going to
facing.
bleed into the job market, of course,
And that's always going to be a problem. But I think if we can work on improving the education that's available to everyone, then we can shrink a lot of the advantages you get from being
But it's like,
wealthy.
I feel like that also breaks down into, and we're actually going to get into AI in a little bit. It's like, how do you reform the education system when it's like, how can you teach kids certain learning habits, teaching habits, when they have infinite information, regardless if it's right or wrong? I feel like we should teach them more critical thinking and discerning how to interpret information, data, and things like that. Because we're heading to an age where we don't need to do any like hands-on analytical calculations and actually learning words and sentence structure and stuff like that.
Well, you gotta remember when we went to that Christmas party 2 years ago in the Cape,
Yes.
and you were speaking to that teacher that was around my age,
Right.
And he says the way he teaches elementary school. He says the way he's doing it old school. He's doing by the book, no digital tablets, none of that stuff like that. He like critically makes them use their critical thinking skills, and no calculators, their hands, all that stuff like that. I know he's one in a billion,
But it's like, okay, as nice as that sounds, you know,
it sounds good on paper.
Don't you think you're putting the kids at a disadvantage?
Yes.
I actually had never thought about that before, but I think you make an excellent point, which is that we're teaching, and this is like such a complicated issue. But yeah, if you're sending kids to school and having them essentially memorize things, like what is U.S. history, but just memorizing things that happened, or like in math, you memorize the Pythagorean theorem, like a squared plus b squared equals c squared.
Yeah.
Why bother having kids memorize it when you could Google it?
You get well, like a new grading system.
Yeah.
You get a, what was it,
But-
80
But
to
they can just Google it.
Yep.
Yeah,
That's
but
true.
I mean, you got to know what you're looking for too.
You do,
When
you
start
do. But
searching
isn't
it
that
up.
part of teaching them?
Ask
part
the
of
right
right,
questions,
critical
yeah.
thinking,
Critical
and,
thinking.
and how to analyze information, how to verify information. You know what I'm saying? I'm not saying being a glorified fact checker, but like understand certain concepts without, because I feel like we're at a point where you could teach a concept without having to break everything down to its fundamental parts. You see what I'm saying? Because we have this to help you every single step of the way. You see what I'm saying? You could have ChatGPT teach you how to code without even, and ask it.
And now it's writing essays for college students.
Yeah.
And half of them are getting kicked
Oh,
out
we're
because of
past
it.
that. Yeah,
Well, yeah, but I'm
past
just
that,
saying.
yeah.
I'm just saying that's just one example of
You know what I'm
that.
saying?
I'm angry I didn't do that.
Oh,
I'm angry I didn't. I had to write all my college.
well, no,
essays
there was a
myself.
small window though for the guys who were like getting through with those GPT.
They did it
essays
before the teachers
before-
caught on.
Yeah, before they
Professors.
actually coded an anti-AI AI, which is weird in itself.
They're always going to find loopholes.
Yeah, I was gonna say, don't you think it's like an arms race between?
It is.
Oh, dude,
The
absolutely.
Because they're always going
Yeah,
to find
I know.
another way.
Absolutely. Honestly, I just kind of accept it. You ever heard of the phrase the Kali Yuga?
I've not.
Oh man, so this is, I got to be careful how I phrase this, but the way I understood it, because this could take you down to some like
Rabbit hole.
rabbit hole incel like fucking domestic terrorism type shit. So you gotta tread
Yeah,
lightly.
now we're getting to the good part of it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
So
right?
it's like this idea that, naturally the world, like society rises and falls. We've seen it throughout history.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And we've reached the pinnacle of what we're capable in this form of society. You see what I'm saying? So like these insane advancements we've seen in AI, these huge societal changes, these ways of thinking, the rise of authoritarianism. That's just, I guess, a signal that you know, we're on the way down. Not saying it's going to be within the next 30, 40 years, but probably within the next 200 years. You see what I'm saying? There's like going to be a major societal shift in terms of how aware we are in how the world works and stuff like that. And that's in due part to AI, globalism, you know, social media, TikTok, and all that. But the idea is, if everything is meant to happen that way, why not just let it happen and then kind of figure it out
afterwards? I think that's a really complicated question, and it almost draws on. Do you know like the Fermi paradox, where like we haven't discovered aliens?
We haven't discovered aliens, right?
And one of the explanations is like the Great Filter, which is like every civilization gets to a point where they hit a problem they can't get past.
Right.
And like it's like, are we approaching that point in today's society? Like, are we approaching problems where we've gone too fast for us as people to keep up with? Like, we've created the AI and the internet, and it's creating problems that we just haven't had the chance to get ahead of.
I feel that,
because things are changing so much faster now.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's facts. And it brings up the whole idea of, like, in terms of intelligence, you know, like the smartest person today that we have on this planet today doesn't know any more than someone 150 years ago. We just added increments to the knowledge we gained since Einstein discovered the theory of relativity. You see what I'm saying? So, like, we're not even really that far removed from him kind of changing physics and our understanding
You're just adding extra
of the nature
steps.
of reality. We're just kind of adding extra steps or breaking it down even further.
Well, we could do a hell of a lot more than him, though.
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
And
but these are all
mentioned
things he
that those
predicted, though.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, we're not even making predictions. Like, out of the information we've gotten from Einstein, we're not even making predictions of what we may discover. We're just validating all the predictions Einstein made based off of his theory of general relativity and all that shit.
And I will say I'm not super knowledgeable on physics, like, as a whole, in the environment of its educational standing, I guess. But I do know that I think a lot of pushes forward, like a lot of the pushes we've had moving forward with like technology and breakthroughs in science have been from individuals. So it may just be that like we're waiting on that next Einstein.
I feel that.
But it could also be that like it's hard to tell because, for example, when you're looking at like science or knowledge we have today, but like look at sports, right? And look at like the LeBron Jordan argument where you're like, Jordan was the GOAT, but basketball's changed. Like basketball's like they're better players, it's a faster game, like the game has evolved.
Everybody plays every position.
And I would argue that like science is probably like Einstein was a genius, but maybe we've got like a bunch of people who are also very smart. Like maybe we just have so many smart people, we've gotten to the point where like you can't have a guy like Jordan in the NBA today because everybody's so good, it would be too hard to stomp.
Right. The expectation of a breakthrough is way too high. It's kind of like with the whole, what was it? The room temperature superconductor that like went crazy like a few weeks ago. So like everyone was getting hype off of this room temperature superconductor that was discovered in South Korea. Because essentially a superconductor is okay, so the idea of
You're smiling. You're smiling.
Okay, so the idea of how a superconductor works is essentially when something is, I guess, able to conduct electricity, it allows the flow of electrons to pass through. And the amount of electrons that are allowed to pass through is what determines the resistance or the resistivity of the conductor. You see what I'm saying? So right now, gold is one of the best conductors of electricity because the electrons don't mess around with the orbitals of the gold atoms. But gold is too expensive to use in devices, so we usually use copper. Copper is also a conductor of electricity because it's more of a balance between gold and, I believe, nickel, which allow enough electrons to pass through, and that's what makes less resistivity means less heating up of computers, faster processing. You know, heat is release of excess energy, so that means whatever system is using this conductor is not as efficient. But to achieve superconductivity, the only way to achieve that was to drop the temperature of the material below zero, like to near absolute zero temperatures. And what that does is that slows down the movement of the electron orbitals in the material that you're using, and that allows electrons to pass through a lot more freely. And because of that, it creates a repelling magnetic field that allows whatever you're using to levitate. Because it's so efficient at passing electrons, it's also repelling the electrons from the table, which is why maglev trains use that type of technology.
Or essentially in the future adding it to a vehicle, so you'll no longer need wheels anymore.
You'll no longer, and it could be used in so many types, like hoverboard. You know what I'm saying? But to achieve superconductivity, you need extreme environments, high pressure, sub-zero temperatures, super low temperatures. Well, the idea was there was this discovery in South Korea that they created a new material using like I think carbon. It was like a carbon-based. You know how they have graphene and all that, all these crazy carbon sub-elements and stuff like that. So it was pretty much discovered in South Korea, and for like 3 months, the science community was on fire because people were like, if this guy or this science team discovered a room temperature superconductor, that's a instant Nobel Peace Prize, because you just solved
like a huge problem.
A huge problem for everything. You know what I'm saying? But turns out it was bullshit. It was bullshit. It was just a freaking.
Couldn't give us one good.
Couldn't even get a
couldn't
one.
Give us the.
You know
couldn't give us the maglev
like,
trains.
It was just like something like that. You have to do something amazing like that.
Mm-hmm.
You see what I'm saying? Because not even Einstein could have predicted a room temperature superconductor.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Because it just requires so much effort and shit like that just to, advance any form of technology. I feel like the only thing we've done is just make things more efficient. Material science, just kind of reusing the same things that we've learned and then just repurposing it for different use cases. It's kind of like with Botox. In the beginning, Botox was cosmetic. In the beginning, Botox was poison, botulism. You know what I'm saying? And then it was used for cosmetics. Wrinkles.
Now headaches.
Now it's used for migraines.
Doesn't it like paralyze you? Isn't that how it works?
Yeah, pretty much it paralyzes the nerve endings.
Nerves.
So if you're suffering from migraines, they'll like somewhere in your fucking cervical fucking. This is your cervical, right?
I have no clue.
I don't know either.
I'm not a biology person.
Did I say cervical?
Yeah. Did you mean spine?
I feel like this is called something.
I don't know.
This motherfucker's head.
Finance guy?
We need to call Logan. Logan, what's the...
Do you guys have an opinion on what Jimmy was saying?
Yeah.
I actually saw that, and I thought it lined up really well with what Jeff said earlier about changing, like, teaching styles in schools. Because you really do... It's almost like having a second brain.
Word.
Like, just like you store things in here, like, there's a bunch of stuff stored in here. And, like, there's an argument to be made.
It's still only worth what you do with it, though.
Yeah,
a lot
of
of people
course.
don't use their phone in that way. I don't know. Given the chance, you think people are just going to go out there and be like,
I'm going to learn everything.
No, not even that. It's just use it like for like work purposes or something. Like, come on, you got time off. What do you do with it? You sit on it and you scroll and you play video games, or you watch TikToks or things like that. It's not like you're on there all the time, just like, man, let me read back through World War II and see how this transpired. Nobody's doing that.
A few far in between.
No, that's bad.
Yeah.
I do in between watching TikToks rampantly. I do occasionally go on like a YouTube deep dive.
Oh hell, like the iceberg videos and shit.
Yeah. Or just like you click, you just follow the recommended. Like you click one video, go down and recommended.
Or like autoplay run or some shit. No, that's facts. That's facts. I feel that.
But I mean, I do. But don't you think, like what Jeff was saying, like, don't you think then we should be teaching the younger generation how to utilize this powerful tool they have in their hands?
Yeah, but I don't know. That's how do you teach that?
I have no clue. That's for like people who have an education degree.
No, it's true, because it's like in the past, and I think I had a conversation with Jeff about that a while back. It's like we used to think, oh man, these younger kids are so smart. They know how to use technology. They know how to use it, but they don't understand how it works.
Mhm.
You see what I'm saying? Like, so I don't know. I feel like that should be the reason why our generation understands how these work is because we started from the beginning.
Yeah.
Like, we started in analog, and we understand how the significance of what the capabilities of this device are compared to what we used back in the day. Yeah, any kid could just pick up a phone or a tablet and, okay, it responds to my touch. That's all I got to do. You see what I'm saying? That's more of like interactive, freaking, I guess, learning or something like that, rather than understanding the processes of what's happening on the phone. I don't know. I just feel like what you said earlier, no one's gonna just go out and learn.
Maybe not no. Maybe some.
Yeah.
There's always
yeah.
exceptions to the rule.
Yeah, for sure.
But like, no motherfucker's just gonna kind of go out there and just
Someone nerdier than me.
right, pretty
Very
pretty
passionate about history would
someone who
deep
got
dive on the
It doesn't even
Wikipedia.
have to be history necessarily, though. But it could be anything.
But is there anything else new to learn?
Yeah.
Always.
I would think so.
You don't know what you don't know.
Yeah,
I think
that's
we've
true,
been
and that's why we continue to learn.
I think we've been convinced that because of the internet and like
We know
the speed
everything.
of information that we know everything. But I
Right.
think the more you learn in a subject, the more you realize. The
So
more
I
you
don't
realize.
like
No,
boast
I mean
myself.
as like humanity. The more we
Yeah.
realize that there are still a lot of things we don't fully
Right.
understand.
You discover new things every day.
Yeah, I mean, if you think about the fact, I mean, I don't want to say anything crazy here.
Oh, go ahead.
Yeah, go
But
for it.
our entire view of the universe, put the theme on. But our entire view of the universe that surrounds us, like everyone assumes we have this great understanding of like the universe and how big it is. And don't get me wrong, I'm not demeaning the scientists who have done a bunch of
I don't
calculations
demean them.
to
They
like
don't know
figure
enough.
that stuff out. They do
Go
a bunch
ahead.
of math, but the science is only as good as the tools they're using
At the
to
time.
evaluate stuff. Does
Yeah.
that make sense? Like part of our advances in science is because we've developed engineering has caught up and
Yep.
we've developed better ways to like we
Right.
didn't know what germs were until we had a microscope.
Right.
Yep.
We might have theorized
Right.
that there might be small things that make you sick, but until we could look at them and see them, we didn't know. So even space, like we're viewing through a telescope.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, for
And
sure.
until we can get out there and poke
Right.
around, like we don't know anything for
Yeah.
certain. There's a lot of things that we do not know, and we don't know any like that much about the nature of like atomic structures when you get very small. Like
Right.
what makes an electron, what makes a neutron. So I think there's still plenty to figure out, and there might be stuff we never figure out.
Yeah, for sure.
Outside of the world of science, though, I think probably before we start going out and looking for new things out in space, fixing our like social system might be an important thing to do before we start going and trying to interact with other ones.
No, and that's a
Right.
great point because there's this term that was coined in a YouTube video I watched called the half-life of knowledge, and which represents every field of science. I'm gonna use science again, but it's basically everything.
Mhm.
Every
Right.
field
Knowledge.
of knowledge has this amount of time it takes to usurp half of the knowledge in that field with new information or prove the old information wrong. And
okay.
they're shorter than you would think. They're like 20 years, 10 years. Like
Right.
physics is like 20 years. Psychology is 10 years.
Wow.
We know less about ourselves than we know about like atoms. So with social issues and stuff like that, like I think we're still figuring out a lot, especially when the internet comes into play. I know that just statistically people are more isolated than they ever were.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Society and
But they're more
culture
connected.
and connectivity
Right.
is changing, and we're
But that's the thing. I feel like at the base root of what makes us all tick in humanity, like the one thing we could really go on and endeavor and like truly understand is mental health, the human brain. Like I feel like the moment we understand ourselves as beings, everything should just, I don't know. I just feel like it would just unlock a new level of understanding and thinking, because we're putting all these things to substitute something that we crave as a society.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? To fill in holes, gaps, to simulate companionship, friendship, connectivity, you know what I'm saying, shorten distances. But it's not really, we don't understand the true impact of what it does to our mental. You see what I'm saying? And,
Yeah.
and that just goes for everything. I just feel like if we understand how mental health works, how the chemicals in our brain works, different imbalances, the wiring of our brain, you know, what triggers what specifically, you know what I'm saying? I don't know. I feel like we're going to suffer the same problems.
I agree. I actually think not a lot of people appreciate that we're probably in the middle of a revolution of sorts, like a mental health revolution. I think the younger generation is a lot more concerned with that. And that's my anecdotal experience,
Yeah.
but I do think that, like, talking to the older generation, you just get the vibe that it's like it's more talked about with us. Like,
Yeah.
we're closer. I feel like my friendships with my guy friends is different than, like, older guys. I
Older
see.
guys.
Well, that's
Yeah,
like
yeah,
the,
for sure.
the idea you talk to old guys and they're like, oh, guys don't cry, or like a lot of people. It's like,
Yeah.
For sure, because that's what they were taught.
Yeah.
But nowadays it's like a lot different. Maybe, you know, like guys do cry, or maybe there's like a separation between guy and girl, or non-binary or anything else. There's that whole different platform or different field that they didn't have back in older
Right.
generations. So
And that happened within the past 30 years.
I would say less
less
than
than
that.
that.
Less
I'd
than
argue.
that?
I would.
Yeah.
I don't even know if it began by the 2000s. I couldn't
Probably
say.
2010s.
I couldn't
would
say. That'd be an interesting thing to look into.
Yeah.
Um,
When did that? Because even like I'd probably say in grade school, I never really heard anything about.
No, I
know.
haven't either, and I'm 4 years older than you.
Right.
So
You see what I'm saying? But I do know.
stuff didn't really start popping off till the 2015s, 2016s. That's when I started hearing.
Well,
about
for me, I think it started happening, of course, when the national tragedies started to happen. We're like you kind of saw blips in it, where it was just like, that's strange. This guy, like the Boston bombing,
Yeah.
or like whatchamacallit, Sandy Hook, and all those other things like that, where it's just like something is off. You see what I'm saying? And like,
Yeah.
this isn't a problem that it didn't feel like it was a one-off. You see what I'm saying? Because of how the circumstances played out, it was like, if anyone can do this, you know, depending on their mental state, you know what I'm saying? Like, this is something that we have to, and a lot of these, like, this is something we have to address. You know, and a lot of these came from, you know, like, people getting in their own heads, entering echo chambers, where, like, you know what I'm saying?
I think the internet definitely exacerbated mental health issues.
Right.
I think it allowed people to, exactly like you said, get into echo chambers and be radicalized faster.
Right.
You
see what I'm saying?
But I think it also, like, our generation is more aware of that stuff. Like,
Right.
we're aware that there's a lot more mass shootings, and even COVID was, like, huge for, like, make sure you're taking care of yourself.
Yeah.
People were isolated.
Oh, dude.
Yeah.
I honestly, I'll be honest, I'm way more. There are habits that carried over from COVID now,
Like washing your hands.
like washing the shit out of my hands.
Even though
like,
we were supposed to do that
Yeah,
before.
it's-
no, like, you
Yeah.
were supposed to do that, but like, I mean,
Yeah.
like, it's like on some OCD type shit.
Yeah.
Like, I'm constantly, like, I'm afraid to touch my face unless I wash my hands. If I'm gonna eat something, I need to wash my hands. You see?
It was a major event. It was a
Yeah.
Yeah, for
global
sure.
pandemic,
Yeah.
and it feels like, with our generation, again, this is just my personal bias, but it feels like things happen so fast these days that our generation really is desensitized to some of, like COVID hit would have been this major milestone, and it feels like it's yesterday's news. Like, we're electing somebody from jail
Because the
over.
thing that was humanity coming together was supposed to happen, and it
But it
didn't
was
happen.
it was a global pandemic. Like, a lot of
It
people
happened.
died. It affected everyone. Like, governments, economies shut down.
Yeah, for sure.
I keep habits too. I kept more of, like, the, you know, like, during COVID I started, like, going for walks to get out of my apartment.
Yeah.
and
Oh,
stuff, and
word.
keep
I feel
stuff
that.
like that.
I feel that.
Like with your dog.
With my dog, yeah.
Started walking your dog.
I started walking my
Yeah,
dog.
it was-
Well, I already got out
Kinda
to
chunky.
walk my dog, but now I'm walking for me, not just him. You know.
No, I feel that.
I was listening to a podcast. They were talking about people like that do this with their hands, just kind of like out and about. And someone was like, "Oh, you know, that might be like a lingering effect from the pandemic because they had to wash their hands so much. Now they just do
Where's the
this."
sanitizer?
Hey, wake up every day.
Yeah,
What the
this
fuck?
is-
You know that? Honestly, if I see you doing that, I just think you're like pretending to be a horse fly or a house fly or some shit. Rubbing your hands.
That's just me scheming.
That boy plotting the Birdman hand rub. Hell no.
Yeah, but we could solve some problems here before we start trying to find new things. New is
Yeah,
fun,
for sure. I agree.
but
I mean, we don't even know what's down in our ocean, and we're now focused on what's in space. What is it like? What 2%? We discovered only 2%.
Dude, we know less.
Like they discovered a new starfish that has like 20 arms, and they just named it something weird.
We can't even get to the Titanic, and that sub
Exactly.
proved-
You what?
you said they
Too
found,
soon.
They said they found a new starfish. I thought you were about to say he's wearing swim trunks.
They finally found it, dude. They found
man.
Bikini Bottom.
Oh,
It made
man.
us for
That's
so
what it was.
It getting served up in the
That's why they keep
Krusty
showing
Krab,
Patrick.
boy. That's crazy. That's
Oh,
crazy.
man.
The whole time that went down, what was going through your head? Like me, the moment I heard that, it didn't come up, I was like, yeah, they're gone.
The submarine thing.
Yeah, the submarine thing.
I mean, you want to hold out hope, but it's just such an unforgiving environment.
Absolutely.
You're like literally under the sea.
Well, what was nuts to me is the amount of money that they all had, but they didn't choose to put any effort into making a decent sized sub.
How criminal.
Yeah.
Okay, people have conflicting opinions about the CEO of that company, but
Yeah.
from what I heard, it was like the sketchiest thing of all
Was he
time.
pretty scummy?
The only person I feel bad for is the kid that had to get on the sub with his
That's
dad.
exactly what I said.
Yeah.
Out of everyone I felt bad for, it was that kid.
Because there's no way, like his sub didn't meet regulations, and like whatever governing body there is to evaluate subs
Right.
sent him a letter
Right.
and was like, don't take your sub down there.
Yeah, for sure.
And so he couldn't list passengers. He couldn't legally have passengers on the sub because it wasn't like certified.
really?
So he had to list all of those people as crew members.
As crew?
He listed them as crew members in a legal loop. And whenever you're doing that, like whenever if I'm rich and I'm like, I want to go see the Titanic, and the guy's like, well, I can't put you as a passenger for legal reasons. I got to put you as a crewmate. I'm like, I'm not getting on that sub.
Absolutely not.
That
So, like,
sounds sketchy,
they,
period.
Yeah, they knew what they were doing. They
Yeah.
knew they were taking shortcuts. They knew, except for the kid. The poor kid, just his dad
Well,
wanted to go and he got on. And
Right,
that is a
his
tragedy.
mom or his dad?
His dad.
His
His
dad
dad.
wanted to
Yeah,
go.
so they both end up losing their lives.
I mean, it's a tragedy all around, but I really do feel.
I felt
for-
bad for that kid.
Mhm.
I felt bad for that kid. Now he's
That's what happens when you're cheap rich.
Yeah, I mean.
How does that happen? How you become cheap rich?
You
Well,
want-
it sounded. They aren't cheap rich, but he's like this rich guy, and he wants to be the guy that invents the next big thing.
Gotcha. Oh, like the
He
tour,
wants
the
to
tour
be-
of
Yeah,
The
he wants
Titanic.
to invent cheap submarine travel and be able to.
Like Virgin Galactic.
Like he
guy.
didn't need the money. He wanted the, from what
The
from what I
recognition.
gathered, yeah, he wanted that. Like I want the next big thing. I want to have
Mhm.
that feeling of like, I've done it. So he cut corners. To
I
try and-
commercialized submarine.
I commercialized submarines. I have the
Ah.
cheapest submarine trip, and he did it by cutting corners in the wrong way. That's the
and
lesson
ended
I
up
got.
paying for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. Damn, that's nuts.
That's crazy.
But that's exactly why we have regulating bodies.
That's true.
But you gotta listen to him.
Yeah,
Yeah,
well-
that's true.
yeah. Hella red tape though, but I guess unless you form a contract.
At least everyone's gonna listen to him for a while now, because they don't want their submarine to not come up.
It only takes one.
Yeah. it only takes one
Oh,
before the
shit.
next guy who
Oh,
was
yeah.
thinking about cutting corners on the submarine was like,
Like,
maybe.
remember what happened to that guy?
Oh,
Nah, I don't want to be
Maybe
in the
we
same boat.
should. Maybe we should fork out that extra couple bucks.
Oh man, yo. So I was thinking, me and my brother were talking about this. Like we should plan a trip to ride. I don't know if you guys have rode that new Brightline, high speed rail. We should plan a trip.
Does it? I saw it's from like Miami.
to Orlando, sir?
Yeah, did it connect? I know they were building the
They
station.
just finished the
Oh, that was
second-
Tampa. They built it.
No. Miami, Orlando, then to
Then
Tampa,
Tampa.
then to Jacksonville, then from Tampa to Tallahassee,
Mhm.
and then from Tampa to Southwest.
South-
I would-
We're gonna be the last stop, basically.
I
How much
would
does it
ride it
cost?
just to ride it.
I believe the ticket's like
Well, I hope they do like a year pass, so you
Right,
can
I
just
would
pay
just
one
do it,
specific price.
yeah,
and ride.
That
Metro
would be
passes.
so nice.
Oh yeah, then that's why Southwest
And
Florida
is
is blowing
Florida
up.
not like the perfect fucking place for that?
I also am
So if you want to
Get
work,
hurricanes, man.
Wait. Okay, barring the hurricanes, but we already have the infrastructure, the rail line infrastructure for that.
yeah,
we do.
Florida was built on rail.
They have to make it somehow more convenient in some way as opposed to flying. They either
Oh.
have to make it cheaper.
Dude,
or
that
like-
thing
was it
like-
200 miles an hour?
Yeah.
More fun.
Yeah.
It's gotta
Things
be
peaking
something.
out.
But as soon
Yeah.
as they, I mean, I may even do
Let
it
us smoke in the
because
rail car
Yeah.
or something.
flying
Talking.
is such like it's such a like imagine on a train you don't have to go through TSA.
Nope.
No,
You don't have to go to an
Straight
airport.
shot,
like,
baby.
You
Just
could
straight
sit next to
station.
somebody cute.
Yeah,
Yeah.
and talk to. He's bringing this up because I just flew this last weekend.
Oh, you got flued out?
I don't want to air. Yeah. Well, no, I just sat across. So
Hey.
I sat.
Sensational.
Like I was there. I was in the aisle seat, and there was a girl across the aisle from me.
Oh, sugar mama.
And no, she was just really pretty, and she had an Orlando Health backpack. So she was a doctor.
What'd you tell her, bro?
I didn't talk to her at all, man.
Like I'm having a heart attack.
Yeah. Is there a doctor
Sing
on
that
board?
song.
I think I'm dying of a broken
I'm
heart.
thinking.
No.
No, he was worried she was gonna switch seats. So.
I was afraid I was gonna say one word to her, and she was gonna hit the flight attendant call button and be like,
I didn't know she
Yeah.
had a defibrillator. Just fry your ass. What the fuck?
Yeah,
but a
but
train, it could work. You're shaking around and stuff. You see
No,
it.
no, it's smooth. I promise you.
Hitting-
It's so nice, dude.
hitting on girls on a train versus on a plane.
it's easier.
That's honestly
you can get
that's
up and
way
walk
more
out.
It's,
classy.
it's less threatening because they could
Yeah.
jump off the train and live. But in the
200 miles an hour.
Hey,
200 miles an hour. That's nuts.
like if they really wanted to leave the conversation, like if they really weren't vibing with me, they can
Oh man, just like unhitch one of the
They could
rail
be like,
cars.
could you pull the train over? But
so
you
kill everybody because of that.
What the
That's
fuck?
nuts.
But like,
What
you
the
know,
fuck?
if it's on a plane, they can't ring the button and be like, "Hey, can you pull the plane over really quick? I gotta."
Yeah, that's
on
true.
there."
They let you walk around? Cause she could just.
I think so,
stand-
yeah,
she could
'cause-
stand up and walk.
Yeah, it's a bullet train.
They got like restrooms. They got cafeteria.
Yeah,
Oh,
cafe
it's
area.
crazy
Yeah,
shit, man.
yeah.
This is all jokes.
It's
by the way.
crazy
Yeah.
shit, bro.
So we gotta go to Miami, and then go to Orlando,
Yeah. Well,
or go to Orlando and then go to Miami.
I think it'd be easier to go to Miami.
Wasn't it 2.5 hours?
Because
each way?
Miami's like straight east, right? We just go east from here.
It's like south-ish, isn't it? It's south.
Do we have to ride it back, or can we get Cooper?
You can ride it back. If you
Cooper to
want.
pick you up.
Yeah.
Honestly, I think we'll get there faster than Cooper.
Yeah, because it's 200 miles.
This
an
thing's cruising.
Well, is he starting?
wanna ride the
is
train,
he starting
too.
when
Hold
we
on.
start to drive to the train?
We race his ass.
I have to leave like 2 days. I leave Miami early. I drive to
I was thinking
Miami.
we start here.
Leave
you
early to
drive
meet you in Orlando.
and then we'll drive and then get on the train. We'll see if
And then we'll
it's
see.
shorter.
So I don't get to go to Miami.
No, that's
No,
you're not part of the
I'm not
trip.
invited to the.
You're
event.
just
Yeah,
the guy who
basically.
picks us up.
Okay.
No, but yeah,
I'm like-
And then you can do it another time.
Yeah, I'll go.
But
on
you
my
can go
own.
by yourself.
Yeah.
But essentially, they said they're gonna build the train station by the airport. So it's just
Here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it
Which
starts
would be-
from
Oh, that'd be cool.
Miami Airport.
I mean,
Orlando
I'm
Airport.
excited,
Yes.
but I know that thing's gonna be finished when I'm like 45.
Yeah,
So
yeah, for sure. I'm gonna be 60.
I'm not gonna get a lot.
I'll
of
be
use
60
out
years
of
old when it's done.
I'd probably say
2050?
latest 2035.
complaints
Okay,
about
so I'll be 40.
Completely.
I'll be
Yeah,
45.
That's
everything.
not bad. You know what I'm saying? We're still in the
Why does
prime.
construction take so long in Florida?
Yeah, when we have technology.
Or you have to
Tell
build-
us, Jeff.
build stuff.
I swear other states do it faster than us, though.
Everyone got deported. That's fine.
You what?
That's why
They
we don't.
deported our workforce.
That's why orange juice costs more.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everything.
That's why I can't get
Watermelons.
any
Everything
fresh
costs
tomatoes.
more, bro. Every construction is gonna take 3 years to build your 1 bed, 1 bath house. You
Yep.
know, it's a bitch.
It only
now.
took 7 months to build this.
You know what I'm saying? Like,
That's not bad.
They could
Yeah.
build the rail. Like, if it took 7 months
Oh,
to build
yeah.
this, they could build the rail in like 5 years.
Oh,
yeah.
word.
Yeah, for sure.
yeah, because since what they started 2019, they've already got Miami all the way up the 95 corridor, and then it cuts into Central, runs along I-4, and then right at the Orlando airport.
How's this funded? We paid for it?
Nope, private.
Private?
Mhm.
Yes, sir.
Oh.
Yeah.
Who forked out the cash for
I'm
that?
telling you, it's all
Because that person
private.
knows he's gonna make more money.
He's
than
gonna make
Well, now
dummy
I'm
money.
worried, dude.
And this has the
Oh,
ability
cut
to
corners?
fulfill.
Yeah, you follow the regulations.
No, for real. Oh, you
I want to
think
be
so?
the next thing that
He's like cut corners.
we
he's
made
like-
our we made our trains out of cardboard. I've been told they're incredibly safe.
Oh man, repurposed wooden fucking rail.
Right.
No, but like
wooden.
I think this would complete the prophecy of Florida being like a one true megalopolis.
I mean, we are a powerful state in that we are very populated.
Right, but we're so separated by like I feel like the economic hubs are
Factions.
right. They're not necessarily interconnected.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like having a condo in Miami and then working in Orlando. You know what I'm saying? Because the ride, it's only an hour 30-minute ride. So
On the train?
On the train.
On the train, yeah.
You know what I'm
So
saying?
2.5
That thing's
traffic,
like I said. That thing's
accidents,
chugging. No
potholes.
No traffic.
Yeah, so you
nothing.
can live here and work in Orlando
in
and
Orlando
be fine.
and be solid.
That's crazy. I mean,
It changes the game for everything. You see what I'm saying? In terms of moving populations and stuff and how people work.
Plus
and,
less
and,
traffic out on the roads.
Right.
well,
So,
also just more tourism, right?
yeah.
Like if
for
I can
sure.
take a weekend trip to Orlando and it's only an hour and a half, and I don't have to take my car,
And then
Right.
take
spend
the train back,
gas,
yeah.
It's gonna take a
No
lot
wear and
of
tear
time
on your
to
car,
go
nothing.
around.
You guys aren't worried about like bandits?
on the train. I don't. Yeah, they pull up on horses.
Oh, man.
They
A
pull up
200
miles
miles an hour. Boy, get that motherfucker Celsius, boy. What the hell?
Jeff's gonna like hit me on the ride up and be like, "Are those horses?" Are they gonna be-
Damn, hustling, bro.
Yeah,
Even the
nuts.
horses wearing like those
The
goggles you
fucking
wear when you're
bandit
playing
dance.
soccer.
Oh man, I did.
Wind resistance.
That'd be amazing. Oh man,
That's awesome.
that's how I know I'll be living. What the fuck? What the fuck?
You gotta worry.
No, that's facts. That's facts. But yeah, all this shit's happening. Everything's changing, man. I don't know. How do you take it day by day? You know what I'm saying? What's your outlook? Are you looking in certain time frames? Like, how do you look forward towards the future when you plan for something?
Depends on what you're planning for.
Or
Work, I usually get up and I say, it's gonna be a good day.
That sounds so convincing.
I'm not gonna get yelled at today.
Shit.
I'm not gonna make any mistakes. And
and
then,
then he stares at himself in the mirror and
then I
back
get,
in the tear.
and,
Slaps his face.
I'm gonna take a
washes
lunch
off.
break
One
today,
more year till freedom.
and I'm not gonna get mad if I leave past 5.
Oh, man.
That's just for work, though.
man.
That's just for work.
Oh,
I feel
shit.
that. I feel that, man. I feel that. So, we got any other trips planned for any coming up soon? The boys, man.
I feel like, and this, this is just my personal experience again, but I think a lot of people these days in general are planning a lot more short term. I just
Okay.
think with the economy the way that it is, and
Mhm.
everyone's saying we're in a big bubble, and
What's it gonna pop?
people are struggling to pay bills. I
Yeah.
mean, I think we are in a tougher spot than we have been before. Inflation.
Can't
But that's
afford
the
a
thing.
house.
Like, I keep hearing inflation is down, unemployment is down.
Yeah, but
like,
it takes a while for it to catch
Well,
up.
and also they kind of so again, I'm not super caught up on the numbers, but I know that sometimes they trick you, and it'll be like inflation is down for the year, compared to they only track inflation year to
yes,
year,
yes,
month to month.
and that's why I
or
said
month to month. So they'll say
Yeah.
inflation's down, but what that means is it's down from last year. It can
Well-
still be up 20% from COVID.
And also,
It can be.
they
a
can tell
10-year
you
high.
all they want. Inflation is down. Like, ooh, congratulations. What does that freaking mean for me? Everything still costs a lot
The
of
same
money.
way.
and it's still
Ton.
going up because I work in retail and when
Yeah.
we change the prices, it's like 80% of the product is going up and only 20% is going down.
And wages aren't keeping up, and again,
No.
the wealth is being.
The gap it keeps getting
The
further.
gap keeps getting bigger, and it really is like hard to fathom how much the richest people have. Like,
Oh, it's
Even people with making 6 figures every year are struggling now. They're
Yeah.
considered now middle class.
But I always thought I heard that whole idea that we within the next 10 to
Reset.
20 years we will go through the greatest transfer of wealth in human history.
you think it'll
Yo.
go back down?
Well, who else is gonna take the money? If the old people are gone, who's taking the money? Or it'll just
Their
flood
heirs.
back out into.
I think I'm hopeful that would happen,
Mhm.
but I think it is a problem that our generation might be forced to solve.
To solve.
Yeah, I think that might be one of the. I think our generation has a lot of problems to solve.
Well,
Global
these
warming.
old people have to retire.
But we don't have any representatives.
They don't want to
in
retire. They don't want to.
in
They wait till they
any
die.
Avenue of power, dude.
Yeah.
Like
We tried 2020.
Yeah, we did. Was it Andrew Yang?
Huh?
Oh yeah,
The
was
Yang
it
Gang.
Freedom
Yeah.
Checks or
The
was
Yang
it
Gang.
Yang
Gang.
Gang? Was that 20? No, that had to be 2016.
That was 2016 with Trump.
That was
Yeah.
2016.
Yeah.
The Yang Gang, bro. What the fuck? But like, I don't know. I guess I saw on that stage, just the kind of circle back to Like, I saw people who were under 60 on that stage. The oldest was probably, I'd say, like, the people that they're taking seriously.
Pence.
Not Pence.
I don't know, man. I'm fucking crazy. Give me like what's the minimum age you can be to run?
I was gonna say you
40.
consider 60 young.
Give me like 35.
40? Do you really think 35?
No, I think the minimum you gotta
Why
be.
not?
I think the minimum you gotta be is
No.
like 40.
Okay, then the minimum 40 because
Yeah.
because hear me out. Everyone's like, oh, we don't want to do 40. They're gonna be too young, and it's like,
No, 40's fine.
you think 40's fine?
Because I feel like
I'd give it a try. What we
Right.
gave Donald Trump and Joe Biden a try.
Yep.
Who says we can't give?
The
The
fucking-
Crib Creepers.
what the fuck?
They're like 80. Why don't we give a 35-year-old a try? And if what could he? We've elected people that have done damage.
No,
for years.
absolutely.
Like, how could he do
at
more?
this point, what
Let
can
him
go
make-
wrong?
let
What
him
can
make
you
a few
lose?
more
We're fucked regardless.
What can, come on. Wasn't that Trump's line? Come on, African Americans.
like-
what can you lose?
I
Vote
mean,
for me.
yeah.
No, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like,
If
I don't know.
people are already feeling like
Like
they
there's-
have no good candidate,
Right.
just
Fuck it.
throw them a bone. Maybe remind them why we like old people or why we don't. Like, who knows? But it's good to have something different.
I feel that. But like, it's easy to say something different, but it's like, what if it's different you don't like?
That's a good point.
You see what I'm saying?
That is a great point.
Things
What
don't
if-
change unless you do something different, though.
That's
I
true.
feel that. You
But-
can so
but-
even if it's bad, you can still look at it and be like,
But the boomers are afraid of that change because they're comfortable with what they built.
My opinion, at least on like if it's something I don't like but it's a change, I think I can't speak for everyone in my generation, but personally, even if they elected someone young who didn't necessarily line up with my political ideals, it would just be refreshing to have a young person.
Yeah, for
that
sure.
might just be enough. Like maybe I'll just take that small victory.
it's
rather
like the
than,
Obama
like-
effect.
Yeah.
Because you're just
It's-
basically
right.
listening to what that person has to
It's
say.
the
and
Obama
see.
effect.
At least I get that small victory of like I get a younger person.
Right.
Exactly.
Like,
Right.
I'll take that dub where I
You
can.
kind of feel that representation where it's like, okay, I can understand a lot more where they're coming from.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? Regardless if I disagree with their decisions and stuff like that.
And also, I think, man, you make a mistake. Nobody ever learned anything from being right all the time.
Yeah, for sure.
That's facts.
You got to mess up a few times,
That's facts.
or a few more times than we already
As
have.
long as no nuclear war, I think you're in the green.
Yeah, I mean, we elected Richard Nixon. Like, or we didn't. I didn't make
Yeah,
that.
I didn't
decision.
make
I didn't
that
vote for him.
I'm
but
not
they
that
did.
old.
So, I mean, we can probably afford. Trump's going to jail. I mean, I'm
Wait,
sure the 35-year-old will stay out of jail.
Is Nixon dead?
Yes, probably.
No,
He's got to be.
If,
Right?
if
like
not,
he's
he's
not
a clone.
in like incognito.
If not, he's a
or
clone,
something.
Jeff.
Or was he
He's
like
one of those fake people.
or was he like fucking? What do you call it when you ban someone?
We need like the guy in the Jeff Rogan podcast who's in the background, and whenever they need to Google something.
Oh,
they're
he just
like-
pulls up the
yeah,
fucking Google.
Pull it up. Pull it up.
Pull up the Google. Do we have a Google puller upper? Let's see if we can pull
I can
up.
get on
Like
my
a
phone.
computer.
Let's
Like
see.
I'll Google. I got you. I'll be our Google guy for right now.
Yeah, be our Googler.
Richard. I'm gonna be like Richard Nixon age, and it's gonna be like he's been dead for 20 years. Richard
Oh,
Nixon. Richard Nixon age, deceased.
It's gonna say nobody
Ooh,
knows.
you know what? I'm not connected to your Wi-Fi.
Holy crap.
You can't Google. You can't be a
Okay, so
Googler.
we're gonna
Yeah, I
give
don't
you
have a
the
lot of
password
service.
real quick, but let me mute this.
You don't want to tell all your fans?
Absolutely not. Get doxxed like a motherfucker.
Are you guys stellar nerds?
fancy?
Sheesh.
Telling
Yeah,
you,
I
man,
had
we in the
the-
future, bro.
Funnily enough, I had the same problem. I play D&D, Dungeons and Dragons,
Oh.
and
Wait, so I'm
Did
gonna
that work?
I'm gonna cut you off real quick. Did you end
Let
up
me-
watching that
Let me
series
see that one more time.
the other
Oh,
day?
Let me do it one more time. Sorry.
There you go. Hold on.
Which series?
Or was it a series or was it a movie?
The Dungeons and Dragons movie?
Yeah.
With Chris Pine?
I have not seen it.
No. Oh, it's your phones. Sounds like you're playing Tetris.
Yeah, I was gonna say, it sounds like 8-bit.
I'm like clicking join. Is it joining? Oh yeah. Okay, I'm on.
All right, you're on. You need it too? Get him.
No, I'm straight.
No, you
I'm
saw
not
it.
Googling anything.
You're
we got
good.
Coop.
All right, Richard Nixon. Well, the photo's in black and white.
Yep, he's dead.
That motherfucker's
He's dead.
dead. That man's dead. What the
He
hell?
died before I was born, 1994.
Oh wow.
Oh,
Are
wow.
we still?
It's your phone, probably.
Is it my phone?
Yeah, I think it's the phone.
How old was Mr. Jenkins?
When he passed?
Yeah.
90 something.
Like, he was like 98 or something like that.
He's a legend, man.
He's a fucking that stash. He's a fucking legend. He's that stash, man. I'm telling you.
Whenever I go into the store, I want to and just touch his
Oh, that mustache.
What do they do like in the animes when they go like respect? They pay their respects to like someone who's died. You know how they each home has like a shrine or something like that.
They put food on the grave.
You mean like when they do the actual shrines?
No. Okay, all right. You ever prime example? Rent a Girlfriend. All right.
Yeah.
So
I don't know. Were we revealing that we watch Rent a Girlfriend?
Oh yeah,
on the
absolutely.
podcast?
Yeah,
All right.
absolutely. We watch Rent a Girlfriend.
I love that show.
It's fucking amazing.
I've only seen season 1 though. So no
Kaguya,
spoilers.
right? That's his name.
Is that the main guy?
Yeah, that's the man.
Yes.
The piece of shit. The worst.
Well, I'm rooting for him.
That piece of shit.
Listen,
Who's your best girl?
the only POS on that show
Best
is
girl.
Mimi or whatever.
Fuck
name
her.
is. Yeah.
We all hate
Fuck that
Mimi
snake.
Chan. Fuck that.
No, what's the main girl's name?
Oh.
She's a boss bitch.
She's
that's all
the
I know.
boss.
Yo,
a
she's
whole
a baddie.
boss ass.
She's a
bitch.
baddie.
She got this man writing her a whole script, bro. Whole script. But I'm off point. Fuck it.
Yeah.
But what was I saying? So like, you know how when you watch those animes and they go into the house, usually it's like a parent that's deceased.
Yeah.
And then they have that little shrine with
Yeah.
their picture, and then they'll like burn flowers and stuff like that.
Yeah, it's part of the religion in Japan, Shinto.
Is that a real religion?
Yeah, they
I thought they were
honor-
religions.
It's like spiritualism. It's definitely a religion, but it's probably more akin to like spiritualism, where they like have shrines.
Is that
to
that
honor.
everything is a god?
Spiritualism is just a general term for like, how do I describe? You know, like Buddhism.
You don't
Not
subscribe to a
Buddhism.
specific
What's
religion.
like Confucianism is a spirituality, and a religion, I guess. I don't know if they believe in a god.
Right,
In Shintoism,
right.
but they believe that like their ancestors have spirits.
Okay.
It's like
So they don't necessarily.
they don't necessarily worship a god, but they do believe in mysticism.
Mhm.
And, like,
Okay.
I do not know a lot about Shinto.
Like earth spirits and.
If somebody
fucking-
knows more about
right.
Shintoism and I said something wrong, correct me. But I think
Oh yeah,
they
you're gonna get dragged.
they
Can't
like
wait to-
venerate their ancestors.
Can't wait to post this. I'll tag you and everything.
Because I think originally you're supposed to worship. I could be way off base, but I think originally you're supposed to worship the emperor is your deity
Like.
in
What do you mean?
Japan. Like in
the-
Japan, when they had an emperor, they like treated him like a deity.
Like the whole Shogun type shit.
yeah. You know, like during World War II, they had like
Right,
the
right.
emperor, and everyone was like super loyal to him.
Mhm.
It's because it was like their religion,
Oh, that's weird.
and I think they weaned off the religion, but kept like some of the practices, like the.
Did they wean off
the
the religion,
shrines.
or did we
You know, that's a good question.
influence
That's a
them
good
out of
question.
the religion?
I don't know. Well, what's a good example? So maybe like you could be non-religious, but you still get married at a church.
Yeah.
Does that make sense? Like we have a lot of Christian
word.
stuff still left over.
I feel that.
You
Okay.
know? It's like where you're not really. So maybe they're still doing Shinto-esque stuff. I don't know. I really don't know much, but I know the shrines are from Shinto stuff.
Okay. I feel that.
They venerate their
All right.
spirits.
So, before we leave off on this, I want to talk about what is your opinion on. And I can definitely ask you because you got a little boo thing. I also want to ask you as well. How do we move forward in terms of intersex dynamics between men and women, in terms of how a relationship has changed, dating and shit?
You what?
You're actually asking that question? Holy shit.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
I want to hear some outside opinions.
Okay.
Like, what do you think is the biggest factor for, of course, like the failure of marriages and stuff like that?
Talking about the sense of traditionalism, social media, like
Yeah. Like, what is the right
what
way
was the
to
influence
Right.
of it?
Mm-hmm.
Well, you're asking the question wrong here. I
Yeah.
think.
Okay. How should I ask you the question?
You're asking for a right answer.
There is no right
No,
answer.
There's no
right
right
answer. there's only opinions on that, and I think it changes for every
Relationship.
every relationship.
A relationship. It's different.
Yeah, I mean,
So you
Yeah.
don't think the data plays into? Is that just a natural regression of
the data of what? In
Of-
what
You
sense?
mean like that we have higher divorce rates?
like higher divorce rates, higher unhappiness in
Are you
relationships?
talking about in the sense of traditionalism?
No, not even. Well, I guess like if we're using the basis of traditionalism, which is
Mhm.
what the original relationship was founded on,
Mm-hmm.
you know, compared to how, like we said earlier, the internet influences a lot of things.
I think.
Like, do you feel like it's harder to date
Now, than it was
than
back
it
in the
was back
1950s.
Yes, but I think not for the reasons that you think.
Okay.
I think part of the reason the data, like we have more divorces,
Mhm.
you have to factor in that you couldn't get divorces back then, or it wasn't culturally acceptable to
Right.
get divorces.
Okay. I
People
gotcha, I
stayed
gotcha.
in unhappy marriages.
I got you.
It was like the Scarlet
Because-
Letter.
Yeah, because they didn't get divorced back then. Women had less rights,
Mhm.
so women
That's
couldn't
fair.
necessarily get a divorce.
Mhm.
Like there are things that influence the statistics more than like people are, like marriages are worse these days.
Right.
And like with unhappiness in relationships,
Mhm.
it's become more culturally acceptable to say that you're unhappy in your
Right.
relationship.
Absolutely. Be a lot more vocal and communicative.
Even my parents have pointed out that the younger generation is more transparent about
Mhm.
things.
Right.
We're a lot more open
I
about
think that's
like
good.
yeah, I think it is a
Right,
good
yeah,
thing.
that's very good. That's very good, and I bring that in light because you know there's like, if you scour the internet enough, like there's this huge influence, this wave of like, you normally see with broadcasts where they're kind of preach this
Red pill. and all
this
that
red
stuff.
pill,
Yeah.
this ideology where it's like, okay, this is what traditionalism is, yet they try to apply it in a modern sense, where it's like a lot of these rules don't apply because one, women have access to so many more rights and representation, and the idea of what the traditional role of a man was supposed to be is no longer applicable. You see what I'm saying? In terms
Yes.
of provision and protection. You see
I,
what I'm saying?
I think a lot of the people like I don't know if this is who you're talking about, maybe like Andrew Tate,
Word.
who is
Okay,
like
that's a good
that
example.
that
That's a good example.
you know, kind of classic macho man.
Right, right.
I think there are a lot of people that take advantage of the frustration young men feel
Mhm.
because, like you were talking about earlier, you're saying
I agree with that.
to separate marriage and dating. I think the dating landscape has gotten harder.
Mhm.
I think that like we're dealing with problems that they didn't have to deal with before. I think dating apps have
Oh,
like
ruined it.
skewed people's perception.
Ruined
Like
it.
Tinder
Mhm.
has skewed people's perception of reality because you're looking like guys go on the apps and they get no matches. Girls go on the apps, they have a million matches. Like it's that classic stereotype.
Too many options.
Yeah, but it's because like 90% of the people on the apps are males. And
That's facts.
Yep.
That's
when
facts.
you actually, I watched this really informative YouTube video that really opened my eyes that like it is not a problem with it's not like guys are any less picky than girls.
Mhm.
It's not like there's some huge difference between the sexes and like guys were meant to be, you know, like really macho and they have to be really alpha and that's the only way to get girls. It's like the system itself is flawed,
Mhm.
which lends
gotcha.
itself to like girls getting more action, which isn't always a good thing. Sometimes
Right.
girls don't want the attention.
Right.
So I think the dating has changed. I think the internet has made us more isolated because it's easier to be isolated. You know, like I think when you can just go on a computer and they call them parasocial relationships,
Yes, sir.
like through Twitch,
Mhm.
even through podcasts, streaming. I think when you have the ability to not go out and make actual connections and you can still foster like it on the internet,
I got
you
you.
get cut off from people. So I do think there are a lot of problems we face.
The human element is taken out of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And I think that it is a problem that real people face. I think especially young men are feeling very frustrated with dating in general.
Right, because that bleeds into so many things like anti-women, you know, sentiment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Incels.
Yeah. You have that
Black
the whole
pill.
incel, black pill, stuff like that. And this was a shock to me because the first time I kind of heard of these people, like you know, like these broadcasts or like even Andrew Tate, it was so jarring to me where I was like, this almost seems crazy. You see what I'm saying? Where the way they would give this advice to these men, it's almost as if they didn't see that women had rights.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? They were just a means of control or an accessory or, you know what I'm saying,
Yes.
an extension of their
Yeah.
will. And it was just like, I don't know, it just kind of threw me off. And I'm like, where does this sentiment come from? You know what I'm saying? And,
Well, I think that there are bad actors. Like, I think Andrew Tate isn't some frustrated young man. I think he's, might be an actual misogynist or maybe someone just looking to cash in on the controversy.
Right.
But I think the majority of the young men that buy into it and are what pushed him to popularity and supported him might just be like frustrated, misguided young guys.
Yeah.
Because his audience might be
Young
18
men.
to 24.
Yep.
But Andrew Tate's like 30 something. So
do you, I'm going to ask a weird question. Do you think that that audience that listens to this stuff or subscribes to this stuff, do you feel they have a misdirected approach to how they find meaning and purpose in life? And that is either through women, relationships, things like that, superficial, monetary, so on and so forth. Like things that that define alpha. You see what I'm saying?
yeah, to me, the way I perceive it is that instead of changing their values, like they want, to have a woman in their life, but they convince themselves that women are only into alpha males or
Right.
women are only into sigmas. That's the only way to get girls, and like that's what they do.
I got
And
you.
it's like a combination of a misunderstanding of their situation and probably a little bit of like just social skills that they lack.
But could you assume that maybe it's a generational thing where it's like,
Yeah, where we're valuing the wrong things.
Right.
I could see that.
because
But-
like think about it, I'd probably say 2010, we were taught traditional like ideas of,
What men and women.
what
should
men
be.
and women want.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Like, I'd say 15 years ago. Well, that was 2005.
Don't look at me. I ain't the math guy. He's right. He's right there.
Okay, like 20 years ago. I'd probably say at least 20 years ago. I'm not saying this is right. Like, it's not. But, like, the idea of seeing a woman catcalled on TV or anywhere, like, that just seemed like, okay, that was just
The times.
the time. You see what I'm saying? Like, especially growing up as a child, like, your brain is absorbing all of this stuff.
Yeah.
But then as you kind of grow up and then you see this societal change in terms of, you see the Me Too movement, you see a lot of the women's movement, the women's march movement that happened so many years back and that continues to
You
happen.
mean feminism, Joe?
Well, feminism has always been here. It's just taken,
Since the 1970s, yes.
right,
not
it's just
before
taken
that.
different forms.
Yeah, you said the women's movement and that they.
No, there was like a women's march that they did back in like 2020 or something like that.
Oh, when they were like free
Yeah.
the nipple or something
No,
like that.
well,
Well, I think there was a couple marches
There was a
because of the
couple,
Roe
right.
versus Wade stuff.
Roe
as well.
versus
Yeah,
Wade,
yeah,
right?
for
a
sure,
lot of
for sure.
women's
But
issues.
That's
came
because
into
it
light.
seems
Right.
like, at least in that regard, I feel we've taken a few steps backwards.
Mhm.
You think so?
And maybe that is a combination of this growing frustration.
Mhm.
But I also think getting back to like our values
Mhm.
may have been getting skewed.
Mhm.
I think social media can have a big impact on that. And like, like these celebrities we brought into the limelight, like Andrew Tate and social media.
Right.
And even just our perception of the world around us has
Mhm.
become more materialistic because you see people getting
So,
all that stuff and you
That's
want to like broadcast yourself as
Mhm.
someone who's really successful, so you go on social media and you show all the nice stuff you have.
Again, like you said, if you implant an idea into a young 18 to 24-year-old boy, especially like you were saying, Andrew Tate or all these
well, I think it
broadcasts.
starts even younger, dude.
Well, I'm saying, but they're picking it up at that age. So you implant an idea in their head, they're gonna think this
Yeah.
is how all women are.
Right.
This is how the world works. So this is
Right.
how we're gonna treat half of them.
Right.
Oh, women are whores or this and that, and they all think the same, and they only want a 6-foot guy. They want this and that. But it's like, us normal guys that are hanging around women in our circle were like, well, the one that I know doesn't act like that, or the one you know doesn't act like that, the one you know doesn't act like that. So it's like, it's not the entire world. They're just making it
It just
seem.
need to touch grass.
Exactly,
Yeah.
exactly.
Right.
So it's like we used to, like my brother and I used to say, what you see on the internet is not what happens in real life. Just because you see it on the screen doesn't mean you can go out there and think that that's what it is real.
Yeah.
You have to experience it for yourself.
But
And
you
I-
got to be able to separate that, though.
Exactly, and
Well,
I think a lot
right.
of people can't.
And
A lot
I-
of these young boys can't.
And it's not necessarily their fault, right? Because they're thrust into this internet landscape
Yeah.
that nobody's been in before.
Mhm.
Like part of the big thing of being a parent to like this new like Gen Alpha, which isn't even, I'm not a parent for, but I have an older sibling
Mhm.
Who
just
has
had
Gen
kids.
Alpha kids? Word.
And I'm like, yeah, a big part of parenting nowadays might just be making sure your kids are aware that everything they see on social media isn't reality.
It is in reality, yes. I agree with that.
Right.
Because you really can just get into this bubble where your
Yeah,
perception
dude.
of reality gets skewed
It gets
because of
fucked.
what you see on TikTok or Instagram.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes you feel that the world is smaller than you actually think.
Mhm.
Like, 'cause it localizes- It localizes all the issues that are happening in the world, and then you feel that you have to react to every single thing that's
Mhm.
happening. Like something could be happening in fucking Hong Kong, you know what I'm saying, and that's gonna affect you here. It's gonna make you feel some type of way.
Anxiety,
Yeah.
stress,
and how you move
anger.
forward. You
It
know what
all
I'm saying?
depends.
Like, huh. That's interesting. Jeff says 20 years ago, like it's nothing.
Yeah, 20 years ago I was like 5.
Jeez.
Yeah.
Gee, 20 years ago? How old was I 20 years ago? Shit.
What were you, like 30?
I was.
Nah, he's probably talking about me.
Oh,
No.
man. Laughing my ass off. I say we hold people hostage till we get our point across. Who are we holding hostage, Vic?
Sacrifice a couple people to let them know we're serious.
What are we even talking
This
about?
man,
I think we're on
he's
the
on
wrong
you level, yeah.
Yeah, I think we're on the wrong topic.
We need
You're on
to
the
let
right
him
topic.
cook thing.
Let him
Wait,
cook.
maybe.
Let him cook.
Let him cook.
We'll put that next time.
No, I feel that.
Yeah.
All right,
He's trying
boys.
to-
What's up?
He's just gonna hold somebody hostage so we all get girlfriends.
Oh no,
There you go.
Vic
That's
be
it.
saying something.
Yeah, he'd be saying some outrageous shit. He even talking
Vic
about
be
my
on some-
hairline.
Bro,
I got no hairline.
We was
so.
on here. Vic was talking about gangbanging ghosts, bro. I'm like, okay, Vic. I was like, okay,
Yeah.
buddy.
See, he already knows we're about
Oh,
to
Vic.
go.
Oh.
He's my buddy.
Every time he does that, he knows we're about to go.
Say something into the mic.
Bruce knows it's that time. It's that time. It's that time. All right, boys.
Any final thoughts?
Do we got any final thoughts, questions, advice? Drop your socials. Any apps? Any plans? Throwing any parties?
I don't think so. Thank you for having us on though. This
Oh,
has been
we're
fun.
absolutely.
Yeah, for
absolutely.
sure,
I can't
definitely.
wait. Next time we got all the whole gang.
Yeah.
We're gonna have a nice
And
big.
Cooper will have a story about talking to somebody.
Yeah, this time I'll
Oh,
come
word.
armed
So you're making moves.
with personal experience about
Okay.
today's dating environment.
Yeah.
Will she be in your arm?
I'm gonna come back. I'm gonna come back like angry and like all women.
Yeah, for sure.
All women suck.
Fucking straight hats.
Yeah.
I'm gonna come back.
He's
and
got
go,
the cigar.
yeah.
cigar.
I'm like
his
maybe
Lam-
Andrew Tate.
his
was on
Lamborghini
to
outside.
We have a Bugatti.
My Bugatti.
My Bugatti.
Oh shit!
Oh man.
Just start randomly doing push-ups on live.
Yeah.
That'd be
Oh,
crazy. Hey, we
shit.
might get a Meat Canyon video of you, bro.
Yep.
That'd be sick.
Oh, that'd be amazing. So no thoughts, questions, answers. You, Caleb?
Nothing from me, man. Just
Just living a good life, man. I feel it. Take it a day at
He's
a time.
like, I don't know about that.
taking it a day at a time, man.
Take it a day at a time. No, I feel
Yeah.
that. We all on that vibe, bro.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
All right, Jeff. You know what to do. Take us home. Take us home.
Guys, thank you again for joining us at the tabletop. If you want to catch us on Mondays and I'm saying Mondays.
Thanks for nothing, Jeff.
I'm joking. Guys, if you want to watch and catch our ugly mugs on Tuesdays and Thursdays, we're on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, Deezer, TuneIn, iHeartRadio, Amazon Music, and now YouTube Music. We also have our YouTube channel, one word, Tabletop Topics, our Triple T's Clips channel, and our TikTok. So if you click on the links, it'll take you directly to the episodes, and of course we have timestamps so you can navigate throughout. Don't forget to like, subscribe, ring the notification bell, and of course, leave us a comment. Again, guys, thank you again for joining us at the tabletop. You have a good night. weekend, evening, and day, and we'll see you on Thursday.
See ya.
Sensational.